Hello, everybody. I would imagine that the one topic everybody's talking to and about is that it's cold. Well, it ain't cold today yet, but boy, the next couple mornings they're talking about. That's okay. I have a guest who has a funny headset who you can only hear in one ear.
Exactly, one ear.
Locke Ward. You'll meet Locke, and a lot of you know him. You meet him in a minute here, but I was just going to say the weather forecasting people. Man, they're talking about horrible Thursday and Friday morning, or maybe Wednesday morning. It's going to be just terrible. And do your pets, your pipes, your people, and your plants. Do all this kind of stuff and get ready for it. I mean, I don't mind the cold, personally. I'd rather have it cold than hot because you can always put on a blanket or something. You can wear something. In the heat, you don't have anything. You're just sort of out there. But it's going to be very, very cold, so you do really need to know that if you haven't heard the word. Last weekend, by the way, wasn't that something else? Was it Saturday night? Yeah, it was Saturday night was the bad storm. Yeah, Saturday night was disgusting, and I was watching WLBT. No, is it Sunday night or
Saturday night?
It was a Saturday night. Yeah, watching them, and I think poor Dave Roberts seemed almost exasperated because the thing was moving so fast. It was like, get out of here, hurry up and get out of here. They have a relatively new person who's a meteorologist with them, a woman named Anae. I don't know what her last name is. She's very good. She's very competent, and they work together really well. Instead of saying to you or back to you or Dave, they just work very well in tandem. I don't know where she came from, but she's excellent. And then their weekend guy, Todd. I don't know what Todd's last name is. I didn't know he was a meteorologist, but I mean, it was a action-packed evening of storming and scariness and all this kind of stuff. But so that's not what made it cold. What made it cold is the following couple of days we've had frontal passage, and it's going to be just really terrible. So, as I said on my Twitter account, what would you see a mess like this? Don't you say to yourself, "I wish somebody come and clean it up"? If I'd have a picture, and yeah, we got the guy who does that, and it's Locke Ward. Welcome to Mary Wieden You. You are a real estate agent in real life, but yet you have taken it upon yourself, and thank God for you to do something. People say, "Why doesn't somebody do anything?" Well, you do it. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me again.
So you are busy.
I'm pretty busy.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
maybe one over here.
Am I deaf and wonder? It's kind of weird.
I know.
So you grab the other one over there.
I was going to say you talk and I'll do it. Well, okay, he'll come and do it. Yeah,
that's kind of messed me up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So Locke, like I say, in real life, he's a real estate agent, but you go around and you've even now made a company out of it, and that's pretty wonderful that you've got that many people who let's see, how's that? Yeah.
I'm back.
I've worn that too, that there's this one headset around here that only has one ear working.
That was kind of messing me up a little bit.
Yes, me too. When you hear, you only hear out of one ear. But anyway, so now though this is a company, it's a nonprofit, and you have employees or associates or whatever you call them.
No, I mean John Fletcher is an attorney in town, and he helped me get this nonprofit started. When I first started, he called me and said, "Man, I need to kind of help you figure all this stuff out." So
tell the background of how this happened that you started doing this, because all of a sudden it's like, what?
Yeah,
What?
So about a year and 2 or 3 or 4 months ago, I was driving a couple doctors around. I've told the story 1,000 times. I'm sure people are tired of hearing about it, but I had these 2 doctors in my car that I drive around with my business, real estate.
Yeah.
And so I do a lot of stuff at UMC, and they call and say, "Hey, will you drive these people around in circles and talk about the nice stuff that Jackson and Madison, Ridgeland has to offer?" So I drive them and do community tours, and so we were driving around Jackson and all this kind of stuff, and so we hit Ridgeland about an hour later, and these people had not been in Mississippi an hour. And they both looked at me. I was driving Miss Daisy because they were both in the back seat, basically. And so they looked at me and they said, "This is a lot better." And I said, "Well," and I knew what they meant, but I said, "Well, what do you mean?" They said, "Well, what you just drove us through is just trash everywhere." So anyway, finished the tour, took them back. They went to UMC, did all their stuff, came home the next morning. I told my wife, I said, "I'm getting ready to go drive around and kind of really look and stuff."
Yeah.
I'm just so used to driving around, not noticing.
Right.
And so I drove around all down the frontage roads and on 55, and I was like, man, there's trees growing out of the side of the highways and just, grass growing up on the sidewalks. So, again, I called Casey Bridges about a week later, and I said, "Casey, can you come talk to me about this?" And so he said, $2,000, I'll help you clean it up from the CVS to the Range Rover dealership. And I said, "Casey, I don't have $2,000 just to give to you, out of my own pocket." And so anyway, he said, "I'll do it for free. We'll do a before and after video, and then the rest is history, honestly." Got $2,000 plus more, and everybody that kept donating said, "Just keep on going." So it's all snowballed on me, and it's been fun. And as you know, in the real
But
estate,
don't say it's been. I mean, but you're keeping it up. I mean, you got to
no,
keep
I'm gonna
it
keep
up.
it. I'm gonna keep it
Yeah.
up. I got a few things that I'd like to talk about as far as keeping it up.
Yes.
But the real estate business that I'm in has been kind of fun because for years I've been doing it for 23 years.
Wow.
And so the
Good for
highlight
you.
of my day was lunch. For the first 22 years, like where am I going to eat lunch today? Because nobody's really. I don't care how many realtors you talk to. We can't sell houses every day, all day long. It just
Tell me about it.
It's not possible.
Yes.
Or at least for me, at least. But so I went in, and I lost my train of thought.
Oh, you're driving around, then you're going to go eat lunch.
Yeah, and you go eat lunch. But anyway, the highlight of my day is lunch, and then so this whole clean up Jackson thing has been kind of fun for me because I'll take my kid to school, and then I'll drive down the street. Like I was driving down Lakeland today, and if I hadn't been able to be here, I would have stopped on the side of the road and picked up all the trash because somebody had. A lot of the stuff that we clean up is a lot of this medical stuff. Blue gloves and it's not very.
That's
good.
pretty bad.
But that's what I do. So 8:30 in the morning, I'm out here to clean up trash, which has been kind of
That's what you do.
Well, and then Casey, so I raise money and I pay Casey and all his
And
guys.
Casey is your person?
Yeah, Casey's
Your supervisor, really.
I guess. Casey owns Casey Cans Home Services, so he does everything. And so Casey's guys come out here and we just kind of pick a spot. Yesterday we were on Hartsdale. Some buddy of mine who lives in that neighborhood raised money for us to come down and clean up the curbs and the gutters. And so we went down the entire, and I'm just taking pictures. I'm not actually digging up the stuff myself. I've actually kind of hurt my shoulder a little bit, so I'm on injured reserve right now. But they cleaned up the entire street. They had 3 14-foot dump trailers full of stuff. Just dirt and weeds and stuff, whatever.
That's appalling. Appalling that happens. And that's great that you came along. I know MDOT likes you a lot. They're very grateful for you, aren't they?
I guess.
I saw an interview recently with one of their guys. Yeah, I liked what you do.
Yeah.
But these people, the city, I would presume, since they don't do a whole lot by way of cleaning, if you were going to call them up, they wouldn't do a whole lot, and they've got to be totally grateful to you too. That man, three of those things.
3 14-foot dump trailers on one street.
Man.
And today they're actually probably there right now, going down Wainland.
Yes.
So I'm kind of, we're trying to concentrating around the
nice area. It was.
Yeah, it's, it's when I first started in the real estate business, that's where all the UMC medical residents wanted to live because it was close to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then as things, get built out further out, they go different places, whatever. But a buddy of mine lives down there, and he raised a nice little chunk of change for us to come and clean. So they cleaned the entire street yesterday, and then we're going to Wainland today. Mm-hmm. These Sean Shoemaker and Reagan Warren are the 2 of the power washers that I've used, and they've power washed every piece of concrete from County Line Road to downtown Jackson.
Wow.
Along the frontage roads and the highways and stuff.
Wow.
It makes it look all new and pretty.
Yeah, the MDOT's got to love you for that. I mean, that's great.
We had I got a letter from MDOT I got a letter from MDOT a couple months ago said you cannot do this, and we had a 14-foot dump trailer down the middle of I-55 cleaning up the medians in the middle of 55, and we had a police escort shutting down the highway.
Oh wow!
And when we got done, there wasn't a weed, there wasn't a piece of grass, there wasn't trash anywhere, and they stopped us from doing it, which is funny. They said
What?
it was just too. They said it was just. I mean, it's dangerous, obviously, but they said it's just too dangerous. But we could have the entire highway cleaned in 6 hours.
Well, I thought they'd liked you. I saw this thing where they liked what you do.
They did.
But I mean, did they make you stop?
Yeah, I mean,
when you got a police escort, that should say something.
Police escort.
That ought to say something, and it's a heck of a lot better than people doing donuts.
I agree with that. We had a meeting with Neil Pat. Well, the engineer for MDOT, and then Willie Simmons, who's the Central Mississippi
Commissioner.
Mm-hmm. And they promised me back in December that they're going to have street sweepers out on the highway twice a month. For good. Neil Patterson said that that they had not had the street sweepers out in a while and all this kind of stuff, and they were going to do better or whatever. And so if you drive down the highway now, I think it looks a lot better.
Between where and where on 55?
He just said County Line Road to downtown Jackson, I guess.
Okay.
I'm not really sure exactly.
By the way, I'm looking up here. There's a computer up here. That's what I'm looking at, just to see if there people have any comments or questions or anything.
Okay.
I forgot to give out the numbers this morning. If you want to call us, it's 888-808-8637. If you would like to text us, we're at 601 601-879-4395. That's 601-879-4395. And you can watch us because we live stream supertalk.fm/Mary. If you want to make comments, Locke Ward is here, L-O-C-K-E.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Locke with an E. Do you always say that to people, by the way?
I get all kinds of
stuff. Just get the main part right. Love to hear from you on this. Do people ever say, "Hey, they call you to do their streets"? Is that how sort of it works? Too?
Well, I mean, for the longest time, I would just pick somewhere to go. I mean, people will send in donations. I looked at my phone the other day, and I didn't realize because I didn't see the emails. I had 16 donations in the last 2 days.
Congratulations! Wow.
I kind of forgot to look at my email, to be honest.
Oh, my God.
And I looked, I said, wow, we got a lot of donations. But the guy, so what we're finding, like Heatherwood neighborhood, a lady called me. She said, look, we would like for you to clean out all the storm drains. Once again, I'm just taking pictures.
Can you do that? Can you do that, clean out storm drains? I mean, you have done it.
We've cleaned out, I bet you we've cleaned out 250 storm drains.
And it's full of junk, probably a lot of yard stuff.
It's mostly dirt and stuff, but we pulled out, y'all slow down signs for the yellow signs. We actually pulled out a full gas can that was stopping the hole that goes under the water. It goes under the road. A full gas can.
Oh, for God's sakes.
And in Belhaven, we had one storm drain that had not one, but two garbage tops. And then under the garbage top, my buddy Casey's like, what is that under the second garbage top? It was a kid's swimming pool that was stuck in the hole. And all these people around wonder why we have flooding issues.
Oh, my God, that's terrible.
And so,
honestly.
But we've cleaned out, I mean, I say we, the Casey's guys, they've cleaned out, I bet you, 250 storm drains around town.
Oh, man, the city has just got to fall down over you. I mean, that's hard, terrible, and obviously very nasty stuff.
It's really not. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, I sit there and watch them do it. It's just dirt and
it's dirt and stuff. But it just keeps making me think about. And I was someplace. I guess I was down at the Dixie National a couple Saturdays ago. Mm-hmm. There were some people from not MDOT, but some highway thing. Anyway, and so I said, the best thing that ever happened to Mississippi was Pat Fordyce. I'm not your mama.
Oh yeah.
Boy, if she were around here today, you two would be unstoppable.
Yeah, just give me a high five.
Well, I mean. She would, she'd really, love this very much, and people need to know, people need to be told about this, that don't trash, first of all, and secondly, if you've got something horrible, there's somebody for you to call. Some people understand, your friends understand it, but what about the regular people who are listening to the show? Come on.
Exactly. I have run into people that, I've talked to about it, and they have no idea, and I guess they shouldn't know, but they have no idea what we've done. And but anyway, I ran into a doctor that's a friend of mine at the jump park the other day, and he was just like, "Man, what you're doing is really great for the city. Thank you so much." And so that's kind of that's why I keep going, is because I keep hearing reinforcement.
Why stop at Jackson? I mean, you got enough to do in Jackson, but do people ever say, "Hey, will you come on out to wherever, the reservoir or some places like that"?
No, because I mean, we have the thing called Clean Up Jackson.
Okay, so therefore, not clean up Mississippi.
Yeah, let's clean up Jackson.
Clean up Jackson.
First.
Okay,
So,
you got a lot to do there. But do you get calls from people?
I got a call
out of the city.
Oh yeah, I got a call from a lady the other day. She wanted me to help clean up on Capitol Street to the zoo or something, and I said, "Ma'am, look, I would love to." I mean,
well, that's the city.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the whole entire point of this thing for me is that I'm cleaning up the area where I live, or around where I live, and so my hopes are, and this is actually, I've noticed this on Facebook. There are a lot of groups that are starting to form. Somebody tagged me yesterday, the community center or something like that. They were out there cleaning up all the curbs and gutters, and they said, we're inspired by Locke Ward's efforts and stuff like that, and that's down in South Jackson.
Perfect.
And so the point of all this, in my personal opinion, is for people to go, I can clean up in my own area, because, we can't come all over the city, of course.
Well, yeah, you're right. That's the point. Hey, why can't, if you can do this, these other people can do it too.
Yeah.
And they see that. Yeah.
There's a guy that texted me, and Roger Parks and I are the two ringleaders of this whole thing. And Roger knows this guy, Henry Hard Work Pays Off, or Hard Work Henry Pays Off. And it's a Facebook group, and it's a guy that has a lot of young kids that are basically taking the weed eaters and mowers and all this stuff, and they're cleaning up their area of where they're from. And the Georgetown neighborhood, which I think is over there by Medgar Evers Boulevard, they've got a website that they have community trash pickup days, once every month or two or whatever it is. So that's, nice to see that maybe, and I'm not taking credit for any of this. I don't know if they've been doing it for 10 years or what, but I've started noticing it on my Facebook feed that there are a lot of groups are forming.
There are the occasional groups that you'll hear about, aside from you and before you that, do these things. But I bet you now that gives some meaning to it because, hey, you did it. You're a regular guy. Mm-hmm. And, they can do that too. They're regular people.
Yeah, I'm a regular guy with a job. So,
yeah. Well, you got two jobs. This is your community job. But,
right.
He is, folks, he's a realtor. He does sell houses, buy and sell houses and all. And I'd like to talk about that later on. But, I'd love to hear from some of you out there. And let us hear from you about. Oh, I gotta get the mouse. I see Mousy because I gotta hear what somebody says about Miss Fordyce. Oh, Miss Fordyce was a first-class first lady, and I appreciate all the cultural exhibits that she brought to the city of Jackson. Really miss her. Well, yeah, that was about Pat Fordyce. She did do all that. She was wonderful. If you remember her,
I do.
She was terrific. And but that I'm not your mama. That was the one that really, it kind of set a lot of people. Well, yeah, okay, well, we'll clean up.
Mm-hmm.
And the reservoirs made a thing a couple of years ago. They put out dumpsters, I guess, and sheets of paper. If people want to fish along the banks, so if you want to go down there and go fishing, I'd have to check now. But you would get a piece of paper and you just say, Mary Wieden, I'm fishing today or something like that, and at wherever I am, and then make sure that that you clean up, and that's not hard to do. It's you take some bags from the grocery store, empty bags, keep a stash of those in your house. Take them with you. Throw stuff in there, whether you're fishing or whatever you're doing.
Well, one of the questions I get a lot is, how many hours are you doing this? Because I'm putting this all over
it depends.
Facebook.
Yeah.
And I think people think I'm doing it for 8 hours a day.
Oh, well, let's find out how many hours, because we're up on a break already.
No,
wow.
Good.
It's going by fast. All right, everybody, it's Mary Wieden You, and this is Locke Ward. Really good to have you. And we'll be right back. Oh, that reminds me. I didn't recognize Paul Simon. Sunday night, I watched the Saturday Night Live special because I was a good Saturday Night Liver for a while. Anyway, something. Who's this twip? What? Who is this guy? And I thought his voice sounds sort of familiar. It was Paul Simon. They had. I don't know if you ever have been into Saturday Night Live, but I was into it for quite a while, and I was surprised they didn't have Dan Aykroyd. Who has been to town here, by the way. For some reason, he came to a liquor store here in Jackson a few years ago. And I so wanted to go over there and stand in the back.
Yeah, Lakeland.
Yeah, I wanted to stand in the back and go, Beldar, because I think he would have really reacted. But I thought, Stu, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'd feel dumb. But anyway, no Aykroyd, no Chevy Chase, and no, Dana Carvey. He was Bush.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy.
Oh, he was on there a lot. Yeah, he was on a lot.
Apparently, you have a lot of listeners because
yes, we do.
I've got a lot of text messages saying,
good.
You're on the radio again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they could text us and tell you that too if you want to. And how do you do that, Mary? Well, you text us at 601-879-4395, and you can call us if you'd like at 888-808-8637. And you can watch us online, supertalk.fm/Mary. So you can see what we look like and all that kind of stuff. How we go. You can't tell what we're doing with our hands when we're just talking, right?
Exactly.
Anyway, so before we went to break, you were just starting to say, what was it?
I forgot what I was going to say. How many hours did I do this? I think
exactly. How many hours?
I guess people think I'm out here 24/7 picking up trash, but I'm not picking up trash 24/7. I just stop when I see some trash and then pick it up. But I spend a lot of time coordinating Casey's guys. But I can do that from my car.
Yeah.
It's so I'm not out here 24/7, picking up trash.
When you were a little kid, were you thinking, well, when I grow up, I want to be the clean-up Jackson man? No.
I never.
Not even when you were growing up and growing up kids. It's like, this just popped up.
Yeah, it just popped up. These people that were in my car, they just kind of.
It's interesting. Yeah, you do. You take stuff kind of for granted. Yeah, and
I live in Jackson, so I'm kind of proud of Jackson. And for these people to, say that it looked like a mess, then I was like, and I told myself I'm kind of goal oriented. I guess maybe my wife won't say that, but I said I'm gonna see if I can clean up the city of Jackson. And bam, I'm on a good start.
I think that's wonderful.
Hopefully, my whole entire point of doing this, because I'm in the real estate business, I want people to say, we need to move to Jackson. And there's a realtor who called me 6 months ago. He said, man, I think I owe you a referral fee. He said, because I've sold 2 houses to people who said that they like what they're seeing in Jackson. They think Jackson's on the the up and up, I get, or whatever.
Yeah, coming back, whatever.
Good things are going on in Jackson.
Yeah.
Because it's just not me. I mean, Warren Speed, I've talked about that, and LaFleur's East. I mean, they've made the corridor from Lakeland to, they've done they've raised all this money through a tax increase to pay for all that stuff. So, I mean, LaFleur's East group is doing great. And my buddy Dallas Quinn at Downtown Partners.
I remember that name from somewhere. Did he used to work for the state a long time ago?
He worked for John McGowan and did the Two Lakes project, the One Lake project.
Yeah.
But Dallas is, he's with Downtown Partners as an interim
Director.
thing. And then Liz Brister, I think she just got hired to do Dallas's job, whatever. But Downtown Partners is doing a lot of cool stuff downtown. They just painted the tunnel underneath Hallam House, and now all the lights that have not worked underneath that tunnel are now all working.
Good.
The tunnel's been power washed, painted. It looks brand new. It's great.
That's good.
So a lot of good things going on around here.
Well, a couple of years ago, I got invited by one of the Speeds to come down and see what they were doing at 400 East Capitol. Yeah, I was very impressed with. And there was a developer, from Baton Rouge, and Speeds were doing one side. They were like doing the south side of the street, and this developer from New Orleans was doing the north side. Mm-hmm. I mean, but some of it together. But I wonder. I haven't been back to see how it's done, but I guess it's done decently. I would hope.
I guess so.
I would hope for that. And I'm amazed too. They talk to me about all these people who want to move to Jackson because they go to law school or they're already they're in practice or whatever. And I'm very happy to hear that for Jackson. Yeah. Jackson needs that.
On my street, there have been 3 houses that have sold off market.
Wow.
In the last,
word
6 months or a year. Yeah.
Word of mouth, yeah. Well, that's really pretty funny because I do know, I used to hear about people, well, I bought so-and-so's house because I always wanted her house and all this kind of stuff. A lot of people do that. Yeah. Pretty amazingly, not great for your real estate business,
exactly.
but how is I want to talk about a little bit about the real estate business because I did it for 5 minutes few years ago, and then I followed it up with helicopter traffic, which was more my life.
Yeah.
I'm a broadcaster.
That'd be fun.
That was, and I get very worried when I hear about helicopter accidents. I'm still thinking that one that happened in D.C. I wonder, the plane was right. They were right like this, and I just wonder if maybe landing gear or something might have hit a rotor. Something like that would happen to make that thing. It doesn't look like they were like this or T-boning or anything like that. But if they were on top, I just wonder about that. And that of course, when you're doing helicopter traffic around here, we don't have other.
Yeah, exactly. Not too much. UNC's a helicopter.
We would see the NC-17s occasionally. You could put about 100 little helicopters that we had inside the thing, but they would always be way far away.
Yeah.
And at UMC, if we didn't have traffic, then we would do whatever we would find, and a lot of it was landings. People flying in and bringing into UMC, and we'd watch that and we'd get video of that, so people can see what that's like. Because it's not everything you see every day. It's up there and you can't see it. But anyhow, so much for help.
I remember watching you on live.
Oh, yeah. Mary Wieden, Skycopter 3. I used to fly over this building all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun job, but you have to always be very alert. You're just looking around, and it's not just about traffic. You're looking around the skies. One day, we were coming across this. Well, we were at the south end of the reservoir, and all of a sudden, the pilot dropped us down. I thought, what? I looked over, and out of the corner of his eye, he saw some small plane coming, probably off of Campbell, and they didn't. There was no traffic. There was no approach traffic, and he was coming at us, and we just dropped down and got out of the way, which was. Thank God we did that. You worry about that. And the only thing that really scared me, but I didn't want to be the girl. I didn't want to be the one. They said, well, we have to do this exercise. It's called auto rotation. Yeah. And I said, okay, whatever, because we just had some extra time. And so we usually fly at 1,000 feet, which is not too high, it's decent. But it kept going up, 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 up. And I always had this impression that if we went up, the air was going to come in on us. Just in my head, but it didn't. I don't know if we went up a mile or whatever. But auto rotation is you go to whatever altitude and you cut the engine off, and your rotors will continue to go. And they are held together by something that people affectionately call the Jesus nut, because you pray to Jesus that thing doesn't ever loose, And so we're up there, and it's, no sound or anything, you're just dropping not fast, but just dropping and things going wrong. And I'm just praying away, Lord, please let the engine start up soon and let it start. And it did. It started right up when the guy was ready to start up, and it was nothing to be afraid of. But, it's just one of those things that if you've never done it before, because regular planes, fixed wings will do touch and go. They come down, they just barely touch the ground, and off they go again. Mm-hmm. Well, that's probably difficult for them, but I thought auto rotation was kind of weird. How about that, folks? You had a lesson, and the audience has heard me tell that story. Really? A lesson in helicopterism. But anyhow, the real estate business, boy, do you ever use a drone to show your properties?
Every now and then, Abe Draper, I'll give him a little shout out. Abe Draper, I call him my secret sauce. He makes all my properties look, fantastic.
Good photographer, huh?
Yeah, he's a great photographer, and he's awesome. But anyway, if anybody needs a photographer, Abe Draper is really good.
But he'll do if you want.
He does a drone. Yeah, I actually had a house near Sheffield one time, and I said, Abe, I'd like for you to get your drone and fly it out the front door, take a left down the street, take a left down Sheffield, and when you get to JA, span up, and then And so he did that, and we did a video of the drone, and the process was, hey, you can buy this house and walk to school.
Oh, that's cool.
And so the drone went down the street, went down Sheffield, and then
very cool.
Panned up to JA's football field.
I think you just gave a bunch of people big ideas. I mean, that's a good idea. You can
kind of think outside the box a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm. You can go to the grocery store if you want. You can go to a lot of places.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're not doing as much. I mean, it basically just comes and takes pictures and all that kind of stuff. But we have done the drone.
How are people decorating these days on the inside? White walls and all that stuff?
Oh, everybody wants whites and grays.
Oh, okay.
Which drives me kind of crazy, I guess, because everything's just white and gray.
Well, Reunion is like the White House community of the area. Yep. I noticed, like Jackson Country Club, have you noticed how much whiter all those houses are getting all of a sudden? Like, wait a minute, that used to be whatever. Wait, that,
Well, yes. all the young people are coming into the Jackson Country Club and, painting everything white and gray. So that's kind of, after the tournament, when the tournament was announced 10 years ago, the country club exploded. Then they had the gate and the security guard and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so I've sold my fair share of houses throughout the years in the country club.
I go there for lunch occasionally, and I'll see all this. I was like, wait a minute, well, that didn't used to be white. Oh, yeah. And then at Christmas time out at Reunion, it got lost one time because there were so many white houses with clear lights. It's like, they all look the same. But that's fine, everybody. You have lovely places.
Yeah, everybody's good.
Yes, my neighborhood, I live at the Reservoir. Oh, my. On the Rankin side. Oh, my. And so, but our neighborhood's got several white houses now, too. I can't because my bricks were too expensive. I mean,
you don't want to paint them.
Well, no. And besides, how much? I mean, golly, can you imagine the price of paint? It ain't cheap. And you have to do it more than once. Yeah. And then I have a friend who worries. She goes, well, what are these people going to do when the fad goes away? And I said, well, maybe then the next fad will be chipped paint.
Sandblast the paint off and paint it another color.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess you could. But anyway. But so where are people buying houses? Or do you strictly do Jackson, or do you go all over? You go all over.
I go all over. I mean, I think I'm kind of known as a Jackson realtor, I guess. But I mean, I sell just as many houses in Madison and Ridgeland than I do in Jackson. Rankin County, I sell in Rankin County as well. It's not the place that I concentrate as much, but I do sell houses in Rankin County. I got a buddy of mine who lives out there, and he's been a good client. I've sold him a couple houses, and so he has introduced me to Rankin County the last 10 and 15, 20 years. But
it's Brandon and Gluckstadt, two opposite ends of the pole. Those are two growing areas, especially Gluckstadt nowadays. Oh my gosh, people say you can't. You don't go to Gluckstadt in 1 week and you see a whole bunch of different stuff. And by the way, I do not have an update on that trial. There's the trial about this plot of land.
Oh yeah.
It's like a rectangle.
Like Caroline, right?
No, it's no close to it though. Okay. But it's at the northern tip of Madison, the southern tip of Gluckstadt. And both cities want that land. And it's like I said, it's shaped like a triangle from what I've seen of maps. And so they've sued each other, and because each one wants it. Yeah. And so now they're having a trial with a chancery judge in Madison. And the testimony started last week, and I only saw one day of it, and haven't seen any stories or anything, updates on that. But the judge could decide either to leave it alone, or to give it to one of the other cities, or split it in half. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? And some people are like, well, I'd rather go to Madison because I identify more with Madison than I do Gluckstadt, blah, blah, blah. I know more. So who knows? But Gluckstadt is, I would have to say that's really the biggest hot place, seems like.
Yeah, what's the two brothers that live out at Reunion? They're developing all the commercial stuff in Gluckstadt right now. I can't remember their names, but anyway, they're doing a lot of building. Madison, I can't remember the name of the company, but they're doing all that commercial stuff, and we're like.
Let's do another. We'll do another segment, which is the final segment, which is a fast hour. Can you believe in this?
Yeah, already an hour.
We got about 10 more minutes to go. On the other side of this break, it's Mary Wieden You. Stay where you are. Well, this is our final segment. It's going by so fast. Locke Ward is here, and he can't believe it. Can you? You can't believe it's a whole hour. I'm like, wow. And it flies. Talking about Cleanup Jackson, but he's also a real estate agent. But back to Cleanup Jackson. So it's a business now.
Well,
nonprofit.
I guess it is. It's nonprofit.
Yeah. What is it? 501c3. What is that?
It's so John Fletcher helped me get this thing started, and he said, Locke, these things usually take 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months to get approved because everybody wants to try to do a nonprofit. I guess I'm not sure.
Wow.
So I gave him all the little stuff that I'd gotten through. The legislator Shonda Yates gave me a proclamation, and City Council gave me a little award, and I posted everything on Facebook. And so John got all that stuff together, and he presented it to the IRS for approval, and it came back like with 2 weeks, I think. And John was like, I've never seen a 501c3 get approved this fast. And so I think they kind of looked at all the stuff on Facebook and realized this is for real. This is for real, And and so I've gotten, and I'm not a CPA, or I'm not really exactly sure what to say on that deal.
You do know numbers, but
I don't want to give any advice, but it's you would think that. So I've gotten some donations from the Century Club. They gave me a nice little check, and a family foundation gave me a couple $1,000s because now they can obviously deduct it.
So you can raise money. So
I think now I've got a tool. I've got a tool to raise money for businesses and individuals and stuff, or get a tax deduction. So you would think that maybe people that are in Jackson, that have businesses in Jackson, might say, hey, let's give them a little money to clean up Jackson.
Let's say somebody's listening and they say, hey, well, I'd like to get involved in that. I'd like to at least give them some money. So, because you said anyway, people have called you up to say, come do my street. So how do people get a hold of you?
Cell phone, 601-906-5577.
Better say that again.
601-906-5577.
5577. And so 601-906-5577. So it would be good if they started off with something so you'll ID it. So they'll know that it's for real, or whatever the need is. Good to have a topic on your first line of a text, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to text.
Well, and some people have an account at First Commercial Bank, and they go in and just drop a check off under Cleanup Jackson. The account's Cleanup Jackson, so they can drop a check off at Cleanup Jackson. I've also got a GoFundMe page that people donate to. Like I said, I got a bunch of donations in the last 3 days that I let kind of slip through my email. And, but people go to GoFundMe, Cleanup Jackson.
Okay, GoFundMe, and then there's Cleanup Jackson. Yeah. Okay.
And then there's a little button on there that says donate or whatever.
So somebody's got to do your accounting. I guess you got somebody who does that.
Well, John Fletcher's kind of he said I got to get a CPA because this has gotten a little bigger than I thought.
But that's okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And it's it's Jackson. It's really for Jackson people.
It's for Jackson.
It's not exclusively, but it is called Cleanup Jackson. And it's nobody's going to say, well, can you come out to the reservoir?
Well, I mean, the biggest donation that I've gotten to date, and I'm not going to mention his name or the amount, but it was a very large donation, and
more than $1,000.
More than $1,000.
Okay.
And it came from one of my best friends, Spencer Copeland. He called me one night. He said, "Get to this guy's house now." And anyway, so I walked into the guy's house at 9:30 at night. It was on a Thursday night because Spencer and I like to go out for what we call guys' night out on Thursday nights, and we just go out and have a couple of cocktails, I guess. And anyway, I showed up to the guy's house at 9:30 at night. He handed me a check, a very nice sized check, and then 15 minutes later said, "What's your tax ID number?" I said, "I don't have a 501c3." And so he ripped the check up, and then I was like, well, that didn't go so good. And then he handed me a check 15 minutes later for a different amount, a lesser amount, which was still a very large number. And so anyway, that guy's never even stepped foot in Jackson. He lives in Ridgeland, and he doesn't even
travel through Jackson for any reason.
I've never known him to come to Jackson, honestly, but he travels a lot with his business. But anyway,
we used to do this thing. I grew up part of my life in Detroit. And, it got to be where, and they're coming back, by the way. That city is coming back, which is a good thing. And that could happen to Jackson, and I hope it does. Yeah. But, the whole thing was like, oh, how long can you go without having to go inside city limits of Jackson? Of Detroit, right. And I imagine there are people, unfortunately, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Help
Well,
your
we're
cities.
going to try to change that. I mean, the Capitol
Yeah.
Police, as far as crime and all that kind of stuff, the Capitol Police are, I mean, they're not screwing around.
Yeah.
There was a roadblock in front of my neighborhood the other day, and I mean, I hadn't seen
Really?
a roadblock in 20 years. But yeah, the Capitol Police are a game changer for Jackson.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They do good work. I mean, you're right. They don't mess around.
And the police officers. I mean, I have a lot of friends of mine that are JPD that I've met, and they do a great job. They just have a whole lot of stuff on their plates, obviously.
And they do work together well.
Yeah.
JPD's had a boost with Joseph Wade as the chief. He's a good chief, and he's gotten some good raises for them.
Yeah.
You know, so some of them have come back and all that. But they work together well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I met one of the troops, one of the capital city troops, just was where I was, and he was doing his work, and I just said, well, thank you for doing that, because people really like Capitol Police in Jackson. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, they do a good job. One of the things I did want to say, we're having a fundraiser on, and my buddy is helping me. Might get mad at me that I'm getting ready to say this, but I don't want to give away too much information because we hadn't really nailed down all the details. But May the 2nd, we're having a fundraiser and having a friend of mine who has a really good band. He is from Austin, Texas, and he's going to come in. And so my friend, who's Richard Greenlee's his name, and he's going to call y'all and see if we can come back on SuperTalk and
I'll wait for your call, Richard.
Yeah, and promote our fundraiser. We're going to have it down at Cathead Vodka downtown, and I think it's going to be really good.
What are you calling it other than it's a fundraiser? It's Clam Jackson fundraiser.
We got the whole thing. It's Casey Bridges, once again. Casey Bridges is a marketing genius. Honestly, he comes up with stuff out of the top of his head, and he.
Is he related to the builder?
I don't think so.
There's a builder named Bridges. But anyway.
I don't think. Oh, you're talking about Roddy Bridges?
Yeah.
No, we hadn't. We got to get the details going, but I did want to say that we are going to have a fundraiser on May the 2nd down at Cathead Vodka, and it's going to be kind of cool. I'm kind of excited about it, honestly.
Yeah, sounds good.
But we'll come back on. Hopefully, you'll have me as we can talk about that.
Heck yeah, I mean, that's what we do. That's our thing that we do.
Yeah.
This is who you talking to, Mary. This is Locke Ward, if you don't know. He's a realtor, and Mr. Cleanup Jackson. It's a lot of hours. Both of those jobs are demanding, especially. I mean, real estate doesn't never stop. If people. It's like 24/7. You're always on call.
Always on call.
And if somebody calls you in the middle of you're eating your dinner and they want to see something now, you better go, because they may look for somebody else who will spend time with them or whatever.
If you're not available, they'll find somebody else.
Yeah. So you have to do stuff like that.
But I got a lot of loyal clients. I showed houses this weekend to two separate people, and they had called into Zillow and got a lead, and they said, no, we're not interested in you showing us the house. We just were asking about the house, and then they called me to show it to them. So I got a lot of loyal clients who kind of take care of it.
That's nice, yeah. And he's been actually doing work this morning, haven't you, during breaks and before the show? He's on his phone doing stuff. So
I got an offer on the table right now. I got to figure it out.
That's good.
Oh yeah,
that'll pay for dinner and a couple of trash can liner bags.
Yeah.
Do you get discounts on stuff like that?
Actually, Revitalize Hardware. I'll talk about them.
Yeah.
They give me everything for free.
Wow, that's a deal, because they don't usually do that.
Paxton, I forget Paxton's last name, but he's at Revitalize Hardware, and those guys out there, I walk in the door and they say, I mean, within reason, I'm not like going and buying $80 shovels for free, but just trash bags and that kind of stuff. They give everything to me for a donation.
That's nice.
So Revitalize Hardware.
Contractor bags, probably the big ones.
The big, thick ones.
Yes. Those are what I need to get some of those. I'm going to need it soon for that. And I bought. By the way, I'm going to be murdering my myrtles, and I bought this little saw. It's sort of like when I saw on TV. It's got a regulated saw or something, reticulated, or I don't know what it's called. I said, what does that mean? The guy goes, well, if you accidentally drop it or touch your leg as you're going by, you won't cut your skin. Oh, okay, good to know. But it'll cut through there.
So you're going to crepe myrtles?
Oh, heck yeah. We built the house in '97. Okay, and I take most of them down to an inch or so, or not an inch, a foot or so.
Yeah.
There are a couple big ones that they just have tall trunks, but they go right down to the base of the trunk. Yes, absolutely. But they stay bushes. I don't want them to be trees. I want bushes.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. Fun?
We have some big crepe myrtles at our house, and my wife is basically, and I like them because they're tall and all that kind of stuff. But she
like them tall, or she wants them small?
Yeah, she wants them tall. She's threatened. She said, if you cut these, I'm going to kill you.
Oh,
So I just let them keep growing.
Well, now I have ones next door to me that were built in 1998. When that house was built, I mean, they're giant trees. I don't like trees because of all the work that goes with them. So I just have great myrtles.
And you murder them.
I absolutely do, except I have 3 little ones down by my street, and they're not dwarfs, but they're about 4 feet tall, and they don't grow very much, and they're sweet.
Yeah.
But this other one that grows, it went crazy this year. I've trained it to be a bush, but I didn't get to it last spring because I had been ill, and I just didn't get to trim it, and it went crazy. I mean, just all over like a monster, and I've been chipping away at it a little bit, and so it's going to be
drops
chipped away.
the black stuff or whatever it's called.
Well, if you're diseased, there's this stuff called drench. You can put on there, but I want it to be back to be a bush again. So it's going to learn to be a bush with my regulated saw or whatever that thing is on whatever.
Yeah,
isn't this fun? Call us up and find out about cutting your dang crepe myrtles.
Well, what else can we talk about?
Well, I don't know. I was going to say I do have this one in the backyard. I'm real proud of. I bought it at Lowe's years ago, and it looks like a lilac. I've never seen a crepe myrtle like that, and it grows into a nice shape. Of course, I cut it down to nothing too. But anyway, well, we have to say goodbye. That's what we have to talk about. Anyway,
thanks for having me.
All right, listen, Locke Ward. So I'll look forward to hearing from your pal about your fundraiser, right? And so you'll be back in May.
No, we're
before May.
Before May, we'd like to come back in and
April.
Promote that.
Yes, but not too far out because we don't want people to forget.
Exactly.
All righty, sometime then. Well, Locke Ward, thanks an awful lot. Be careful out there. Sell lots of houses and clean up lots of streets.
I'll try.
All right, see you, everybody.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.